Welcome to Phoenix Meets. I'm delighted in this episode of Phoenix Meets to be in the beautiful county of Norfolk. Norfolk is often described as being UK's breadbasket, and it's perhaps no surprise that they grow enough grain to be able to produce around 6,000 million loaves of bread every single year. But Norfolk as a region is also developing agricultural-based renewable gas solutions. In fact, around 6 miles from where we're standing here now, one of the first AD biomethane injection plants was introduced to GB around 10 years ago. And we're delighted as Northern Ireland starts its journey into the biomethane industry to be able to go and talk to those in Egmere Energy to find out about their decade-long journey and the opportunities that there are for further biomethane development and carbon capture opportunities in this particular plant. Egmere Energy, Seb, is a biomethane injection point, but ultimately this story starts way before the exciting injection piece. This is an agricultural story at heart, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. So Future Biogas, who's the managing company of Egmere Energy, grows the crop to produce the biomethane. So typically the story will start about 12 months in advance, if not 2 years. So this plant was commissioned in early 2014, late 2013. So we actually started talking to people about growing crop for us in 2012 and beginning in 2013. So it takes a lot of preparation and planning. We also, after we've grown the crop, fed the crop, created the biomethane, injected to grid to fuel people's homes, we then have a byproduct called solid and liquid digestate, which is proportionally 70% of any tonne of silage that's fed in. The rest is made up of energy. So that then is returned to the farm as a soil building, organic matter loading product, which is perfect for the new regen agricultural story that we're all aiming to go for. We have what we call clamped silage, which essentially is a crop that's chopped in the field by a forage harvester. We chop it to about 5 mm in length. So this is rye, the same that would be made into bread. We whole crop harvest that, so we take it right down to a stubble. We then chop it and we bring it back in tractors and trailers or lorries. We then layer it in 2-inch layers with tractors or snow ploughs with big blades on the front. We squeeze all the air out of it, make it anaerobic at the clamp, and then that's then sheeted and then fed throughout the year. This plant feeds about 130 tonne a day typically, depending on what energy is given from the crop. So you can get wet crop at the beginning of the year or slightly drier crop at the end of the year. So it just depends where it sits. So the guys will feed about 30 tonne of rye a day and up to about 100 tonnes of maize.
I'm now with Sharon Spain, who's the production manager here at Egmere Energy. Maybe starting from scratch, this is an AD plant first and foremost. Talk us about sort of our surroundings. What's happening at Egmere Energy here?
Well, anaerobic digestion, AD, is basically processing in the absence of oxygen. So we're trying to get the oxygen out. So we use a feedstock. You've already talked to Seb. It's agricultural, so we use maize. On this site, we use mostly maize and rye, and we feed it into the digester. And then there's some bugs in there, some microorganisms, and they just do their job. And they feed on the digestate that's in there. They produce the methane, and then we capture it, and we do a lot of really interesting, magical things to it to then inject it into the grid.
So it's like a big cow's stomach, really, in some regards?
That's exactly what it is. That's how we tell people, or how we educate people. You just imagine it's a cow's stomach. So a lot of AD sites initially, they were just doing the electricity part of things. So, but we're more concentrating on the gas to grid, because we feel that that's more important at the minute. Yeah, that we do have plans for the future as well, but that's more about carbon capture as well. So that's where we're moving into next. So we're never going to stand still, I don't think, here.
We're just coming into the gas upgrading, which on this plant is air liquide technology. Our pressurised gas from 4 millibar up to 70 millibar comes into another cooling station where we drop the heat that's generated from the gas boosters before it goes through the 2 activated carbon towers, which are a lead lag. Carbon on this site lasts about 9 months, and then it's recycled and filled up with new carbon. You're basically forcing the gas through membranes at high pressure, and at the right temperatures you get optimum CO2 release or permeability through the membranes. and it's basically cleaning it up, sending it forward to the next stage. So we've got an analyzer panel, the main control panel in the middle, which is actually controlling the valves and bringing all the data together. And then we've got the propane injection panel on the end. All three are talking to each other. So the analyzers are feeding the data on the CV value to the propane panel. That's then doing calculations and deciding how much propane to put in. And it's all then being controlled back through the main control panel, and the data from there is going to the Cadent network. So they see all the live data, and then they've got the ability in their control room, anything's out of specification, to shut down.
So luckily around here we're very, very lucky with the soil type. It's very light sandy loam soil, which allows us to harvest a bit later. We can go on in the spring. But when you look to other parts of the UK, have you got the right heat that you can grow maize in? You know, we assess heat units, so that's daylight hours and nighttime temperatures. If you haven't got that right, you're not going to get the correct crops to feed the plants. So therefore you must look at other avenues of feedstock. So whether that's manures from cattle or chickens or pigs, and then you could grow some grass to work it in. And AD can work anywhere as long as you've got a use for the energy that's being produced and sufficient feedstock in. And we would assess that before we were to commit to building an AD plant, whether that's in Northern Ireland or Southern Ireland or Northern Scotland. It might be we can produce gas there, but have you got continuity of supply for feedstock?
As a business, we're looking at projects to capture that carbon, and we're doing a project with the Northern Lights project, which is based at the Humber, and we're going to be sequestering carbon under the seabed in the North Sea, off the shore of Norway actually.
Further reducing then carbon emissions in the local environment.
So for these sites that are already in existence, it'll be a bolt-on to these sites, whereas we're going to be building some brand new sites purely for the carbon capture. That'll be our main aim.
Everyone wants more gas. We want to see more biomethane being injected, because it's a win-win for farmers and people like us running these plants, because it's local, creates loads of local jobs. We need more gas, it's green, and then obviously the follow-on will come with the carbon capture, capturing the CO2 and placing it into the North Sea, which is what the whole UK is now working towards.